And it's actually the next day. So when I showed you yesterday the box that had this label on it, and I said I was going to put some boiling water on it to remove it, and it just came off slick as anything. And I also found another box that I had in with those what's the word? Photographs. Oh my gosh. And it had all of these papers on it. And I thought this was interesting, that this paper will not be replaced for any fault in manufacture later than April 1st, 1915. Isn't that something? I like that. I had this other label. And unfortunately, this little corner got torn off, but that's okay. Today, I'm doing another page inspired by Marie with a bunch of numbers. Anyway, it's Tony on Instagram. So I've got this piece of green, like a newsprint, I guess. And it's, it's been around for a while, so it's got some problems. So I'm not going to be doing anything exactly like Tony did, just inspired by. So she had a page. I think she started with a piece of green ledger. And then I think it was probably a Tim Holtz piece. It looked like it was like an illustration from an encyclopedia. So I think it was a piece of ephemera from one of the Tim Holtz-y kind of kits. I'm going to trim off some of this white. I'm going to lightly ink so I will need to put a fold in here. I folded it the wrong way. There we go. So I wanted this side to show. Okay. So I'm just going to glue part of this down. I'll do that little job and then I'll pause while I go get coffee. So I'm doing the top and I'm doing the inside. And I'm going to make a tag to go in there. I might even use this. No. I could use this. And I will back it on this green paper. I'm going to put a butterfly on top. I have this vellum. I wonder if that would just show the words underneath a little better. Don't worry that I'm destroying this. I have lots of them. It was I think a wedding invitation kit or something I got. Yeah, you can kind of see better. So my son called me last night, Jordan, the local one. And he is currently on strike. They're hoping that they'll be able to settle something next week. He does not work for Canada Post. But I guess the Labor Board has ordered them back to the table or something. I don't know. So he's been out for about a week and a half, I guess. So last night he called me and he asked me a question about one of the new staff at our office. I'm like, how do you know her? And he says, oh, well, I called Ashley, our executive director, and said, you know, I could put in a couple hours here and there if you need the help. And oh yeah, sure, come on over. So he's been doing a couple hours a day at our office. We used to work together. I think it was about 7 years we worked together. That was his first job out of university. So in order to augment his strike pay, which isn't much, he's picking up a couple hours when he's not on the picket line. So that's good. So maybe I'll see him at the office next week. I was telling you about my new favorite summer dress that I got when I was in New Brunswick. So I took pictures of it and sent it to my daughter-in-law. And I said, would you mind having a look? So she said she would be happy to do that. And she's going to go today. So I'm hoping they have at least one more in a different color. I'm going to put this right there. I think that can work. I just want to rough it up a bit more. I'm wondering if I want to sew that. And then I could sort of glue that down. Too big. Mm-hmm. perfect. And I will finish this was called a wood nymph, was it? Yes. A little bit of ink. This guy needs a little bit of ink. He might need a lot of bit of ink. Let's get a lot of it. I need a pen. What do you think? Good? All right, so I think that'll do a video today. And I'm back. Yes, I did this without including you. I did actually record a video of doing this page, but then it was awful. So I'm sparing you that and that terrible experience. So I used a piece of paper from a journal that I had tea dyed. Here I used a Tim Holtz die embossing 3D embossing die thing to make this frame. Inked it all up, and I used a genuine photo in there. On the flap I just did some zigzag stitches. It opens up, and on this side I've got a pocket made from an old receipt from 1919. I got some faux tape. This is a couple layers of brown paper, both wrapping paper and paper bag. And then I just used this scrap here to decorate it, and some more faux tape. And then on this side I used a brown paper bag and die cut this weed and added some faux tape, and then it opens up, and isn't that a great tea stain right there? So lots of room for journaling. Then I started working on this page, and I'll tell you how I did it. So this is paper that I got in this manila drawing paper book. Got that for $1 at the thrift store. So I've cut it to the size I want, and I used some paper from the Etude magazine, and the reason I went with the magazine paper is because it's very thin, not like sheet music, which can be much heavier. So what I did was I glued down paper, let it dry, tore it off, and then did layers of the torn look, and did it on both sides. I'm happy with how that's turned out. And now I want to add another feature that, and this is a leftover. And what I'm going to do is, well, first of all, let's cut this down to the correct size. I'm looking around for my template. It's in here somewhere. There it is. Didn't need to be that difficult. And I'll just cut that with some scissors. I'm just going to do a little tiny torn edge. This is an antique magazine from 1915, I think, if I remember correctly. And who knows? My memory isn't what it used to be, that's for sure. And I've got a piece of we'll call it vintage lace. It's definitely not antique. It's a synthetic. Now, I could have used any paper, but this is the one I've chosen to go with. And I will be inking the edges. Okay, that part's done. Now, the lace, it's pretty close to the right size. There's what I'm looking for. So I'm just laying this sort of where the lines are. Okay, and I want, this is the back, this will be glued down, and I want to show like where the halfway mark is, and then okay, so that's where I'm going to be putting these brads. Turn this over. I'm just grabbing some clips because I'll probably need to clip. Okay, I'm using some fabric glue. Had a string of glue there I had to remove. Now, so the lace is slightly bigger. I'm just going to hold it for a second. I'm just going to add a couple pins here to hold this, and while I wait for it to dry. I'll work on something else. So this is going to be a belly band that will go on this. Oh, I've made it too big. I'm not sure why I thought. Well, that's okay. I can fix that. I can fix that. Turn this over so I can get it square. It's 1/2 inch out. I was working on this last night, so I clearly forgot that I had made this page not quite as tall as the other ones. The mark's going again. I had a marker. If you're watching this Sunday morning, I want you to know that I am having a Looney Toony sale this afternoon at 1 o'clock Eastern. Okay, just gonna let that dry. Now, I showed you some of the photos that I got at an auction recently, and some of the best ones are very old and very curled, and I thought I'd like to use some photos to stick in the belly band there. There's a nice one I like. That's good. Oh, look at this one. They're all on a canoe, or a rowboat, I guess. Looks like they're having a picnic. I love this one with all the ladies. All right, so I've got a handful here, and I have a piece of card. I have no idea where it came from, but I am going to use it. Well, my worry is I won't get enough glue on here. And I'm putting it on the paper instead of the photo, just so that there isn't any more problems with curling when I put the photo down. At least that's how my brain imagines it'll work. We will soon see. Okay. So this is like a cardstock weight. I'm going to do a couple more. That seems like it's going to work. So some of these photos have a real candid quality to them, and I think that the photographer was a hobbyist who liked to take photos and print them himself. You know, he had a dark room maybe. So a lot of them have, you know, people making goofy faces and stuff like we would, you know, put on Facebook today. Lay down, you. And they're sort of cut haphazardly. They're not exactly the way we would expect. Yeah, I'm sorry I couldn't use that video from yesterday, but it was so bad I'm pretty sure everybody would unsubscribe. It was just annoying. I like this one with the little girl with the big bow in her hair. Look at this one, this couple outside of a log cabin with her big feathers on her hat. Glue. got to tell you about a recipe I made while I was on vacation. I saw it on Pinterest, and it's called cowboy pasta salad, I guess. So it had a little bit of cooked ground beef in it, a little bit of cooked bacon, but it was pasta, green onions, cheese, corn. You could use corn or black beans or whatever. And the dressing or the sauce was, I use Miracle Whip. I prefer Miracle Whip to mayonnaise. And it had like hot spices in it. I used seasoning, Frank's Red Hot seasoning. It's a powder form. It's not liquid. Worcestershire barbecue sauce. You know, cowboy flavors. I feel like I'm forgetting something. Definitely cheese. Anyway, I'll share a link to the recipe, and it was good. Yeah, I will make it again, because I'm sure lots of people would like it, especially men. You know, you tell them there's hot stuff in it. Okay, that's all I'm going to do right now. Let's go back to the page. Now, the reason I marked these is because I want to use brads, but I don't want brads to go through to the other side of the page. I'm going to have them come out on this side. I need a pokey tool. Pokey, pokey, pokey. I should get my tools ready before I... You know what? I'm just going to use a big needle. That will do. I want them to be aligned. So I need a little ruler. So this is 1/4 of an inch in, and I'm just poking where I put those marker dots. Okay. Then I will flip it around. And put the brads through. Here, I saved it with my boob. If I hold it up to the light, I can see the hole a little better. Okay. So I'm just spreading the little feet here. These are tiny little brads. They're not the big honking ones. There we go. Down, boys. Okay. This is just a, what do you call it? A mouse pad. I'm just pressing these down on the hard surface. Now let's go back here. So I put these a little too close to the edge. So I'm just sort of leaning over this so I can see where I want to put the hole. So it's just a little lower than where I actually marked it. Again, I'm holding it up to the light, pushing the brad through. Okay, you see how this is bowing out a bit, or bowing up? When I glue it down, it'll be flat. It's just, it's the lace that's doing that. So let's turn it over. I'm gonna grab a scrap of paper. And I'm going to use my paper glue stick that I like. Because I don't want things to get accidentally tucked underneath the music paper. And then I'm going to use my gem tack because allegedly it will glue metal to paper. Allegedly. So I'm just doing that very thing. If the legs were too long and were hanging over, I could just twist them. Okay. I could put it on either side. I think I'll do it on the outside. Oop. Does that look crooked? It does look crooked. Gotta be careful. Flip that over. I think I'm going to have to put a heavy brick on this to get it used to being... Well, maybe that's okay. Just get used to going flat instead of bowing. Because if it bows, it's not going to hold anything. Okay. Are any of these dry yet? Oh, still tacky. Let me clear off some space and I'll get those cut. All right, I've cut these out. And I want to do something with this. Just tear a bit off the edge. We've had a very cool weekend, as in temperature. So far, no rain though. Okay, I'm going to turn this over and just glue that down. And I'm just going to do a couple of, whoops, took my lid right off. Gotta remember to twist, not just pull. I'm just going to add a few dots. Eesh. Fold that down. Now I've got another piece of, this has been torn off a piece of antique lace, and I've just put a running stitch through there so I could gather it up. I need to knot this off. I'll be covering it up where the thread is. Pull some of that fabric across. Go. It's there. Okay, now. There it goes again. Oh. What if I put something like that there? I'll just clip the little threads. So, I was just watching a really interesting video that kind of resonated with me. I've talked about Kathleen Mower before. She has a YouTube channel. I don't know why I was having difficulty spitting that out, but here it is. Anyway, she hosted a challenge, sorry, in the month of May that I intended to take part in, but never did. And the video that I watched this morning, I'll link it below, talked about some of the lessons that she learned through the process of using up collected things. What can I use? No. What piece of fabric? No. Scissors. Scissors, scissors, scissors. And she got a little emotional in the video, and I thought, I know exactly what you're talking about. You know, we're not destroying things that people made or loved or saved. We're honoring them by saving them from the trash, usually. I'm going to cut a little of this off. It's bigger than I wanted it to be. You know, the same reason some of us save little bits and pieces of our own lives, and wouldn't dream of parting with them. Okay, I'm going to get a pin. A safety pin. I wonder if I have a rusty one. I don't think I do. That's something I've got to get doing, is some rusty stuff. Okay, I found the tiniest little brass one. Come here, you. I need you. And they're all stuck together. Thinking I'm going to use this instead though, now that I've cut that beautiful piece of lace. Just like that. No, I don't like it. We might have to go back with... I was thinking I would use something that's just a little different colored. That's a little too blocky though. Okay, I'm going to put this on. Anyway, I will link to that video. Encourage you to go have a look. Maybe I'll pin. I'm just going to put the pin through that. Yep. This one I will use a little bit of fabric glue. Okay. Where are you? So what I thought I would do is sort of glue that there. I'm going to have to put something underneath to protect. I know what I can use. I'm sure I have a plastic bag here somewhere. I don't want the glue to go right through to the paper underneath. I'll put it a little off like that. Gosh, that might look pretty with something else. Nope, just get it glued down, Nancy. Get it glued down. Now, next I want to select something to put under there. And I was thinking I might use a piece of paper that was like that envelope, but that's too colorful, I guess is the word I want to use. I bet you I have a letter or something I could use. Oh. Here's that recipe. No, not using that. A little Kathleen's address. Kit's address. And what if I put that, if I back that on some paper? Let me do that. Okay, I backed that with just a little bit of copy paper. And I'll staple that. I don't know that that's dry yet. I guess I could touch it. We'll wait another minute or two. But I will just stick that under there. And then that can be used as journaling space by turning it over. There's 3 pieces of paper there. So there we go. We've got another journal page. Lots of space to write, lots of journaling space, plus this decoration. So I hope you thought this was a fun project, and maybe you'll give this a shot too, and that you'll also remember to use up the little bits and bobs that you've collected and honor the memory of people they once belonged to. All right, thank you so much for joining me today. Take care of yourself, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.